You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, it's Doug Collins. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Friday's Finest. Yes, we're a week away from the glorious season of Christmas and giving and playoffs and all the other kind of stuff that's going on. And of course, James and Chip will be along with us after the break to get all this broke down. But today's going to be a fun day. We're going to talk music, Christmas music, Christmas movies. Is Die Hard really a Christmas movie? We will have the ultimate debate here in just a little bit as we go forward. But also we have, suspensions in NBA. We have, all kinds of stuff. We even have an extremely rare white alligator was born in a Florida reptile park. Folks, this is the place you want to be for Friday's Finest with James, Chip, and me every week, getting ready for this. So right after the break, get ready. We're coming at you full force. Hey, folks, when you look out and you see the country and just the disarray it is, you see the Biden administration, you see the wholesale prices have just went through the roof again. Inflation is tearing us up. If you have your finances all impinged in just a few areas, if you're just in stocks and bonds and you're not diversified, I got some news for you. You need a navigator. You need somebody to help you get to where you need to go with those finances. And I can't think of anybody better to do that than my friends at Legacy Precious Metals. You need precious metals in that portfolio. You need gold and silver. And Legacy Precious Metals, the folks there, they're the navigators. They know how to deal with tough times. They know and how to look ahead and take your personal situation and make it something that can be workable for you in the long term, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the one you're most concerned about. You need to make sure that your personal finances and your retirement are secure. You need folks like Legacy Precious Metals helping you in that. They will take the time to learn you. They'll learn your finances. They'll learn where your investment goals are, and they'll help you get there. And metals and gold right now, in this kind of crazy inflation, in this kind of crazy economy with the Biden's economy, is just, you need that help. And Legacy Precious Metals is the one to do that. So give Legacy Precious Metals a call, 866-528-1903, 866-528-1903, or you can always visit them online at legacypminvestments.com, and you can download their free investor's guide. Legacy Precious Metals, they're the ones you need. They're the navigators to help you through these turbulent times. Hey everybody, it's MyPillow's 20th year anniversary, and over 80 million MyPillows have been sold. Mike Lindell and MyPillow wants to thank each of you and every one of you for giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98, and just $10 more for a king size. You will receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, and so much more. This is a time to try out something other than the amazing products that you've had your eye on. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo Collins, Collins, to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98, or call 800-986-3994. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. You know how I know that? Because I sleep on a MyPillow every night. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 800-986-3994 today. All right, we're back. Here it is, Friday's Finest. Toward the middle. First off, we have James, who, by the way, Chip, we got to tip this off for our listeners. James, our New Jersey by way of Dallas, has been back in Jersey here for the last week or so. He is pulling the best Tommy Devito here. He's back home, undoubtedly being not treated well at home. They forgot about him. I mean, we're hearing this all the time. James, are we okay, buddy? Is it good?
I want to believe my parents still love me, but part of me says that they may not. No, let me tell you something. I've been home since, when did I get back? I got home on Monday. Because my plane, first of all, my plane was delayed 7.5 hours. Oh. I woke up at 3:30 a.m. to get home by 10:19. That's when it told me I was going to get back to New Jersey. I got home at like 6 o'clock. Anyway, not the point. I did feel like I was home because it was United. Let's be honest. United's horrible, and I made the mistake. They were cheaper flights. I made the wrong decision. But luckily, I was also surrounded by a bunch of Jersey and Philadelphia scumbags like myself, so I kind of felt like I was home in this little area. Anyway, yeah, New Jersey, guys, the Tommy DeVito thing is crazy out here. It is the only thing you turn the news on. My dad watches the news, Sports Center, whatever it is. If it's local, it's about him and that hilariously sketchy human being that he calls his agent. It was incredible.
Look.
Chip, bring him into reality here, brother.
Yeah, no. I don't know who his agent is, but watching his dad, his mom, and his agent in the stands on Sunday, I mean, it was classic, right? I mean, the guy grew up 12 miles from MetLife Stadium, and I mean, it's like central casting out of The Sopranos.
Somebody said this, and tell me if you guys agree. Somebody said that every team should have a third-string quarterback who represents a stereotype of the city he's playing in.
Yeah. Oh Lord, we could do a whole. We could do a
like
whole.
If you had like a real Georgia boy as your third quarterback, and then the city, because the city no one does it. I've never seen someone more embraced in the moment where he's just like, I know they've been playing bad, so that helps, and he's finally making them play better. But they embrace the hand gestures. They embrace the guy on there, his agent on the sideline, looking like a '40s gangster for no reason whatsoever. The whole family's doing the cookout beforehand. It's so good, man.
Yeah, the cookout looks pretty good. Hey, what would you say, Chip? Would we either go Stetson Bennett or Jake Fromm or Buck Bellew? What would be the Falcons?
Well, right now it's got to be Stetson, right? I mean,
Stetson,
I don't even know that he's returned to the Rams. Obviously, he left for personal reasons. We all hoped he can work those personal reasons out, and I think he can. I think he's doing better from what I hear. And look, I think Georgia fans would become Falcons fans overnight if Stetson Bennett, made the Falcons 53-man roster. So I'd be all for it.
Yeah,
you also got to get rid of. See, also what helps is the head coach of the Giants actually looks like a meatball, so it helps. Like his whole aura is. I don't even know what Daboll is, but like you could just like he looks like he's from the worst part of the city. Like he looks like he came in on he came from Trenton. Like he's got it all. The whole city's got it, and the East Rutherford thing is going crazy right now.
The scary part about this is the Giants are actually 5-8, and in the absolutely pathetic NFC. Have a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they
said we're going to keep Tommy DeVito and forego getting a quarterback in this draft.
Well, look,
they're not going to do that. But
if they were NFC South, they'd be almost tied for first.
The NFC South, man, guys,
we're a dumpster fire again. Chip,
what
are we
the hell?
ever going to get out of the dumpster fire era of the NFC South? I mean, we're going to probably have another champion in the NFC South that is going to be under 500 this year.
We said that last year, right?
Yeah, we did.
New Orleans is not good. Atlanta has everything it needs to be good,
except a quarterback and a coach.
Am I like I'm watching? It's just I'm not saying their defense is the Jets' defense because that's not fair. That Jets' defense is unbelievable, but the Atlanta Falcons have a very good defense, and they have a plethora of weapons on that offense. They are the NFC's Jets. Like they have every weapon possible because Drake London clearly is a baller. He just ruined my fantasy hopes this weekend, and I really don't want to talk about it. But Drake London's a baller. The whole team, he's talented, and you just have Arthur Smith who's like, oh, wait a minute. I have all these good players. Cordero Patterson on 3rd and 5.
Well, they've even just cut back on Cordell Patterson. I mean, Chip, and looking at the Falcons, you and I have lived through all of our lives, really. Dealing with the Falcons. I saw a documentary on Steve Bartkowski. It made me want to go back to the 70s, when we didn't have anything except Billy White Shoes Johnson in the 80s. But the issue here with the Falcons, and I get it, to a point. But there's a story going around down here that Arthur Smith is okay for another year if they don't just implode here in the last few weeks. That's really encouraging for Falcons fans down here who watched this mess all year. The other thing though is I just don't get how we're making fun of it, but Tommy DeVito's come in and threw as many touchdown passes in 4 games, I think it is, than Desmond Ridder this season, who has 9 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions.
Yeah, look, I I saw the reports too, Doug, about Arthur Smith maybe getting another year, and I suppose that's a possibility. I don't know that Arthur Smith has completely made up his mind yet, and I still think he's kind of waiting to see how the last 4 games of the season go, 3-4 games, whatever it is that's left. I think it's 4, but I have a hard time believing that there's not going to be a change made because Arthur Smith, I think, made it pretty clear to say, hey, look, if you give me the pieces, the skill players that I need to succeed, I can make Desmond Ridder grow with these pieces. But he's not going to grow if he doesn't have all these pieces. Well, you've given him all the pieces. You've given him Bijan Robinson. You've given him Kyle Pitts. You've given him Drake London. And we're not getting better in the passing game. We're not getting better offensively, and I think that's going to be I think that's a direct reflection on the head coach. And so, I still think it's up in the air if there's not going to be a coaching change. And candidly, I think Falcons fans, it sounded like you're in the same position, Doug, believes there probably needs to be, because Desmond Ridder just doesn't look like he doesn't look like he's growing. Of course, I say that in his stat line on Sunday. He threw for more yards than he's ever thrown for, but we ended up losing. We completely abandoned the running game. So it just seems like we don't have any DNA on offense.
Well, I was just gonna say, and this is just a throwing it out there thing. Do you guys think you should take a shot on someone like, let's say Jake Browning finishes out the season strong for the Bengals? I know that's not a great option because you thought the same thing with Taylor Heineke and all this, but Desmond Ridder is, I don't care how many times you say it, I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the league. That's reserved for whatever Josh Dobbs was doing the other day.
Or Anthony Richardson when he comes back.
No, you will not besmirch Anthony Richardson. That man was headed for gold. No, but in all seriousness, there's going to be a lot of bad quarterback play this weekend. But I think someone like Jake Browning is going to get himself paid. But I don't think I think Atlanta needs a standard can run, shouldn't run quarterback. But I see that it's clear that that's not what Arthur Smith wants.
At this point, I'd take Joe Flacco. Okay,
Joe Flacco's balling right now. I'll take Joe Flacco. Oh my God, the Vikings experiment. Ugh.
Yeah, that's all.
Anyway.
Well, anyway,
look, it's going to be a deep year. It might be one of the deepest years that I can remember from a quarterback perspective for the draft. And so,
oh yeah,
you're likely
to a late rounder in here that does something special. Right. You're right, for sure.
That's exactly right.
Get ourselves a Brock Purdy, huh?
Hey, that would be awesome. But I don't think the Brock Purdy's of the world grow on trees.
No, they do not.
Yeah. But I don't. Also, please don't tell me we're going. That we would go after Caleb Williams.
Yes, you are, Doug. But it doesn't matter. You're not going to be in first place. He's already number 1 pick. I don't care what anyone says. You'd be nuts not to take him.
He will be the first pick, and the Falcons can't get him, and nor should they, right? No. Just because you're not going to give away the farm for the first pick. I mean, we would have to give away the farm to get it. You can get.
Yeah. I can actually see a podcast. One of the Friday's Finest episodes in the next few weeks coming up is this: what big pick in the last few drafts are actually going to be redeemable going forward? And I think that's something we need to put some thought to. But I mean, you look at Bryce Young, you look at Trevor Lawrence, you look at going back through the time. C.J. Stroud, I think proving it. Will he have a good second year? You go back to some of these quarterbacks and some of these runners. Who's actually making it. It's still amazing to me that and I'm trying to make sure, and if I say this, y'all will correct me, I know. There's not been a number one quarterback in the last 10 years. Now, help me out here, because I'm sort of thinking on my feet.
Number one is in the number one pick?
Number one pick that is went on to what we'll say Super Bowl or greatness in the last 10 years.
As an the only person I could think of 10, so that's 2013. Because I was thinking of Cam Newton, but he only went to a Super Bowl, and he was 08 or 09.
Yeah, I mean, and that was, he just went. I mean, look, I think it's an interesting point of view if you look at the drafts that the quarterbacks that are viewed as great in college rarely, and I'm just saying rarely, I don't say they don't, rarely turn out to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks in pros.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck would have been the guy, but they let him burn.
Chip,
I feel like I'm still not dead on Trevor Lawrence. I know that a lot of people are, and I get that.
No, I think he's going to do fine.
I think Trevor Lawrence deserves better on his offensive line a little bit. But I don't watch them enough to know if he's not good.
I get it. Moving along from the craziness of NFL and everything else, I do have a question for you, though. And Chip and James, goes back to the NIL issue. And I'm bringing this one up because it's Auburn, as long as Yellowwood's around, will have an NIL pocket also to pay coaches as well. Georgia has their own deep pockets, and Alabama and everybody else. But you're getting the NCAA is reaping and this should be a leadership lesson for everybody out there. If you have a decision you don't want to make, but you still need to make it, you need to make the decision. NCAA had a chance to put in place an NIL package way before they got sued, and especially after they got sued. They decided not to. So now we're in the Wild West. Reports came out as of late as yesterday that Carson Beck is asking, and again, this is just reports, don't know it to be true, but we're seeing it in some other places as well, $4 million NIL next year to Georgia to stay. We're hearing the same thing out of Shadir Sanders. We're seeing the same thing out of Caleb Williams. At what point, and Chip, I'll start with you, at what point are they going to have to do something to put some kind of a buffer on this NIL stuff?
Gosh, a lot to unpack there. The problem, I think you hit it on the head, and part of your statements before the question is it's no longer the NCAA really calling the shots; it's the court system.
Right.
There's so much litigation out there. The courts are going to determine. There was a U.S. District Judge yesterday, U.S. District Judge John Bailey, he issued a temporary restraining order. This wasn't on the NIL, but it was on the transfer portal, prohibiting the NCAA from enforcing its rules requiring athletes who are transferring for a second time or more to sit out one season or seek a waiver or delay. And, look, make no mistake about it. When we talk about the transfer portal and NIL, we're really talking about the same system. We're talking about the same deal. Washington State's quarterback, and I'm Cam Ward, I think is his name. I was drawing a blank on him. Rumors are in some of the Auburn blogs, Auburn was looking at him, but rumors are in some of the Auburn blogs is that, his asking price to transfer to a school is $2 million. And, look, I think Carson Beck's a much better quarterback than Cam Ward.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's out of control. And I don't know when the dust settles on it. It's hard to imagine that something like this can be off the rails in perpetuity, but maybe it is. Look, for everybody that that was jumping up and down for decades, wanting student athletes to get paid, we're here. And and this is what I'm afraid it looks like. There were 21,000 student athletes enter the portal across all sports, in the NCAA last year, which was up from 16,000 the year before. There could be 28,000 this year. So the answer to your question is, Doug, I don't know. I don't know, but there's got to be rails on it. And then you got to determine, Auburn just got Cam Coleman, the wide receiver out of Phoenix City, who had originally committed to Texas A&M. And Cam Coleman's 5-star, and he's the number one wide receiver in the country. And, and we can't afford Cam Coleman and Cam Ward, so I'll take Cam Coleman all day long. And I'm sure Georgia and other schools are in the same position. It's a game of economics.
Well, it is. And James, looking at this from a younger perspective, because Chip and I have a little bit different, and just a different perspective. We were watching football, playing football, going to through college and everything before this system ever existed. There's been your generation much more open to why aren't they getting paid, and I need to get paid if you put my name on. Madden, NCAA dropped off because they were using their images and everything. No, is this actually? At a point now though, is this turning younger fans off, or do they care?
The actual you're talking about like do guys getting paid turn us off? No, listen. The problem is that we've been fighting for getting paid forever, right? Because we were getting upset that guys like Reggie Bush and Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel were getting penalized or yelled at or attacked because they needed to make a few dollars. The fact that you put his name on something and he doesn't get paid is ridiculous, and I believe that. The same way an English major can write a book and get paid for it while they're in college, an athlete should be able to do the same. I know it's through the school and they're not a professional, but whatever. The thing that is annoying is that we have to talk about it 24/7. The transfer portal thing, and tell me if you guys agree, the only way to – because now it's just free agency, right? It's the best way to look at it?
Yeah.
It is.
The only way you fix it is if you change transfer portal rules. That's how you fix the NIL thing. Because let's say I'm 18 years old. I'm a top 20 quarterback in America. And I want to go somewhere and I decide to go to Oregon. But Oregon has somebody else there and they're going to start him and it looks like he's going to play next year too. Well, I just got paid by Oregon to come there. But now I'm going to ask them next door if they'll pay me $2 million instead of $1 million. And all I have to do is enter the transfer portal. Next thing I know, I'm there. That's literally free agency. And unless you change the rules to you have to sit out a year, or you change the rule to you have to stick with your team for 2 years before you make a transfer rule. I don't know all the rules, so maybe some of those are in effect, but I don't think you change anything. And it will just be annoying to have to keep hearing about it, but it will be fun to see at some point, like 5-6 years from now, when somebody's getting paid like $10 million to go to a school. Because the number's only going to go up.
Well, there's some people going to retire out of college. Because
I would.
All these quarterbacks can't make it in the NFL. They're just not.
You're going to tell me that I can get $10, $15 million from college, and then I don't have to get a concussion for the rest of my life? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, here's the thing. What do you think about this, Chip? You get one transfer portal opportunity. You limit.
Well, that's the rules now, Doug.
Yeah, but no, it's not.
With exceptions.
Yeah, with exceptions.
There are
not
exceptions to that rule.
When Jaden Daniels can play, J.C. Daniels can play in 5 different schools, finally have to quit because he's got concussion problems. When you're seeing quarterbacks and running backs and others, I'm not just picking on quarterbacks, but when you're seeing kids play at 2 and 3 different schools in a 4-year period, something's wrong.
Yeah, so the way the rules are constructed right now is you can transfer once for free, and I don't mean that monetarily, just once within the rules, and not have to sit out a year. And then you can transfer you can transfer again if you get a waiver. And there's all kinds of reasons that, student athletes will ask the NCAA for waivers, or another trigger that will put you in a free transfer window is if your head coach changes. So if you transfer, and the perfect example is DJ Uiagalelei, who transferred from Clemson to Oregon State. That was his one free transfer. And now Oregon State's coach now went to another team. And so DJ Uiagalelei, a year after transferring to Oregon State, is now back in the transfer portal. And it's rumored that, that he is, it's rumored he might go to, I think, Florida State or, somewhere back down here in the Southeast. He's a California kid. And so, I mean, look how often we have coaching changes, in the NCAA. But you got a U.S. district judge that just yesterday, issued a 3-week injunction while there's a pending court case to determine, to stop the NCAA from enforcing their rules. Well, that's a pretty important 3-week injunction. Consider the portal windows are open at this time, and I think they're only open 60 days a year, and so. Look, and that's the, where do I start? I mean, it's, the NCAA can have all the rules they want to, but if the courts if the rules get challenged in the court system and then a judge determines that you got to throw out the rules, then look, I've been very critical of the NCAA, but in a situation like that, what is the NCAA supposed to do? I don't know.
Well, but also I'll go back to this. The NCAA provided no foundation. The courts had to just make it up on their own because they saw the NCAA
very true
being litigious.
Yeah, they buried themselves for not preparing.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Absolutely.
I'd love to get somebody on that has been a part of this whole transfer portal / paying players thing. I need to know the ins and outs of this, right? Because if I decide I'm going to play at Oregon and they're going to pay me $2 million, but I decide to transfer, do I keep some of that money? Do they give it to whoever I transfer to and then they work out the deal? I am so confused because we are dealing with kids and we're dealing with kids' parents. And kids' parents are probably more the problem than anyone because a kid just says, listen, we were all 19. If somebody offered me that much money, dear God, I would have ended up somewhere I shouldn't have. But I'm just in all seriousness, really think about you're that kid's parent. You're going to let them take the first deal? You guys are businessmen. You know what you're talking about. You guys know how to live. I just feel that there are so many things involved here. And as someone my age, if this was coming out when we were younger, I can't imagine how much money would have been thrown around.
Okay, I got something. You want to know how bad this is getting? And we just hit the college level. I'm on the weekends when I'm home. I go out with my dad, Leonard. We go to eat breakfast every Saturday and Sunday morning. It became a tradition during in 2020 during COVID. Just to get out, we would go to a restaurant on like Waffle House and Wheezy's. Chip's been to both up here. And we do Saturday morning Wheezy's, we do Waffle House on Sunday morning. So it's a Southern kind of thing. A buddy of mine who we see every Sunday morning at Waffle House, and I'm speaking in general here because I don't want to give this person, necessarily up, but it was interesting to me, but is involved in, or at least was indicated to me, involved in the high school NIL program.
Yeah.
Because in Georgia, you can do that. I mean, Chip, again, I get it to a point, but this is, at some point the Georgia High School Association put out the rules. Here's the NIL situation. You got schools. What was it? Was it Utah or was it Utah State or one of them that gave vehicles to every player on the football team and then vehicles to every basketball and gymnast in men's and women?
The Utah Utes did that this week. Yeah. They're no. It's just it is. It's been the wild, wild west, but now it's it's turning into. And I guess the problem I got with it is, everybody's doing it under the kind of the umbrella of name, image, and likeness. Let's just call it what it is. It's paying players, and if that's fine, let's do it.
Just set it up.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you're already here, you can't turn around now. You can't be like, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to stop paying people. That will not happen.
Okay,
yes.
So just turn it into something real.
Yeah, moving to a different subject, but on the same vein. I was looking at this the other day, and they were doing different university colleges, especially with the NIL stuff, with the transfer portals and all. And y'all may have looked at this further than I have, but for the level of play over the past few years, especially as this is really kicked off, I can't find a team that has lost more players each year and still performed at the exceptionally high level than the University of Georgia. But it's not really talked about. Look at how many players they lose to either go to the NFL, but a lot of them to the transfer portal. And then it's sort of a reload. I don't think Alabama. I mean, is Alabama losing that many? Is Auburn losing that many? I haven't looked.
There was a time where Alabama was losing that many.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a good run there from my high school. So they win their 1 to 10 and 11, right?
Yeah,
09, 08, somewhere around there.
They were losing a ton, but I mean, Georgia's again. But then
no, you're not wrong. These are programs that are going to do this, but it always comes back to eventually bite you. Like I look at someone like I don't want to put LSU in this category because they had a very magical run, but like they never recovered from Joe Burrow's after Joe Burrow. They really haven't recovered. I know Jaden Daniels is a baller, but I don't know. I just look at someone like Georgia and like Alabama back then, where like they were losing like 19 guys in the draft, and then next year they were already reloaded.
Because Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State are three of the only programs in the country that have 5 stars as backups.
Yeah,
and any other, I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, you know, when you give a star to a high school athlete, they don't give away equal 5 stars, 4 stars, and 3 stars. I think only, I mean, there might only be 41 to 47 5 stars in the country. I mean, it's I think it's under 100. And then there's, 3,000-4,000 4 stars, probably 20,000 3 stars. I mean, and Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State historically over the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, maybe Alabama as long as 10 years. I mean, they're racking up. I mean, they're signing 5, 6, 7, 5 stars and the rest 4 stars. And so you can lose them and still have unbelievable people at backups. And you're not losing a lot of people to the transfer portal because you're winning and you have a lot of money. And so, yeah, it's,
I think it also has something to do with, like, if you have a reputation for that many people going into the draft, that's something you want to see if you're a high school kid.
100%.
You're like, oh, they send 10, 15 guys a year to the draft. We're coming.
Hey,
that's exactly right.
Before we switch out of this, Chip, is Dylan Rybold going to Nebraska or is he staying at Georgia?
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't have any insight into it, although, if you read the last 48 to 72 hours, it certainly looks like he's going to Nebraska. I guess I'll say this, Doug. I guess it depends on how bad Kirby wants him, right?
Yeah.
Look, Dylan Rybold is an incredible talent, but it's not like Georgia ever has trouble finding really good quarterbacks to come play football for him. And so, it could be that with all this drama surrounding him, maybe Kirby's like, you know what? If you want to go to Nebraska and play football, bye-bye.
Yeah.
And so I think it ultimately comes down to how bad Kirby wants to fight for him. And I just don't know that Kirby really – I mean, I think he's a talented kid, but there's been a lot of talented kids in high school that read too many of their press clippings and they get to college and they don't think they have to work hard and they struggle to get better. And maybe Dylan's in that mold, but yeah, I think there's a good chance he goes to Nebraska. But if he does, I think it's because Kirby didn't put a full court press on to keep
I think it's interesting too that Dylan has been at somebody. I read this yesterday, so I'm just saying I read it. He's been at 3 different high schools in his 4-year career.
Yeah,
that doesn't fit the Georgia mentality very well.
No.
And again, he has family connections in Nebraska. I get it. Not, look, these are 18-year-old kids. I don't, they can change. I mean, you and I both have them. We know what 18-year-old kids look like. They change their mind from breakfast to lunch. So it's not that big of a deal that they change. But also, what's the other kid who did sign with Georgia who basically said, I don't care, I'm coming in anyway?
I know who you're talking about. I'm drawing a blank now. But yeah, look, he could end up being, being good. I mean, if you go back the last 10 years and look at the top 20 quarterbacks coming out of high school, it's about a 50-50 split on who actually has success and who fizzles out. I mean, it's a coin flip. I mean, they're 18-year-old kids. Who knows how they're going to grow and mature as they, as they're 19, 20, 21, and 22. It's just, we don't know.
Yeah, I think it's actually, in some ways, you talk about the leap from college to pro is huge. I think the leap from high school now to college is even I think it is more so possibly in a way because college now is what, and I say this just in general, I think colleges now, especially the elite, are what pro football was in the 80s. I mean, I think if you look at the speeds, you look at the size, you look at the, it's just a whole different animal that they're looking at now is going into it. All right, switching gears out of football into since this is the week before, and we will not be with our wonderful listeners next Friday since it is the weekend before Christmas. We'll be running our annual special Candle in the Forest next Friday before Christmas. It's a time for us to sit back and think about the Christmas movies. I do not know about y'all, but I am married, and I know, Chip, you are as well. And it is the time of the year in which we get to watch, I'm smiling here, we get to watch the Netflix movies in the evenings for Christmas. I'm not too proud to admit that I have now succeeded in 3 nights to watch a Christmas Prince, a Royal Wedding, and a Christmas Prince, the First Baby.
No. You know, let me, Chip, if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump on this real quick.
Yeah, okay. Coming from the non-married one, Chip.
The
this
Hallmark movies are so. Me and my buddies, we were talking because they're on Peacock. They have all the Hallmark movies, right?
Yeah.
And there was one I couldn't get over. A guy goes blind and has a seeing eye dog, and that seeing eye dog needs to be trained by someone. So the guy meets this woman who's training the seeing eye dog. They fall in love for Christmas. Jesus, guys, they're not even trying. They literally did some. Maybe this is the one you saw, Doug. They basically did one where this guy comes over he's like royalty. He comes over to America. He decides to become a waiter. He meets somebody who becomes a singer. It was literally the movie Coming to America, but with less.
I've seen that one.
With horrible actors, and it's all weird. It's horrifying. Everybody's creepy. Nobody knows how to smile in those movies. They don't know how to act. You got to watch real Christmas movies, Doug. I'm sure you don't really have a choice in the matter, but you got to watch better movies. I personally, The Santa Claus is my all-time Christmas movie. That's my favorite one.
I mean, look, I am at a house now with basically 3 girls. We have Cree, we have Jordan, and we have Lisa.
You're in Hallmark hell, is what you would call it.
It's a wonderful adventure, okay? And when we don't have football, we did watch high school playoff football last night in Georgia, which is pretty cool. But
that is the most South thing I can think of.
Yeah, state championship football at the Dome. It was good. And by the way, there's some teams that I always look at this, Chip, James. I love watching high school football because you're seeing the last games of some kids, like many of us, it was their last games with high school or at a state championship.
Yeah.
And you see them, and they're really good, and but they're built like a bowling ball, literally. And they're never going to get an offer anywhere else. But they win a state title, they get the ring, they get the jacket, they can talk about it. By the way, Chip, Milton beat Walton last night.
They did.
That's close to you, isn't it? I mean, that's
Walton. Yeah, it's pretty close. It's they're over in East Cobb. They were always good when I was growing up, and then they were in the wilderness for a few years. Walton decided not to play football in the second half. I think they turned the ball over 3 times in the third quarter. And last I checked, it's tough to win football games when you do that. When you're playing anybody.
Yeah, you can't. You don't really have a good position there. All right, let's get in now. It was implied by James just now that we got to watch real football movies. So if we're looking at real football real Christmas movies. Well, because if it's football movies, we'd have to go to what was the Gail Sayers one?
Brian's song? What are you going to try to make us cry for 6 hours? No, thank you.
Brian's song. Anyway, Christmas movies. All right, we'll start off with the fact: is Die Hard definitively a Christmas movie?
Yeah, I mean, the whole basis of the movie was they had a Christmas Eve party at Nakatomi Plaza.
Ho, 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 I have a machine gun now? That's as Christmas as it gets.
I mean, of course it is. And
it's a great one.
Yeah, it's Yeah, it's not.
And
Really,
God bless Bruce Willis, who's going through some tough times right now. God bless Bruce, who's giving us one of the great, movies of all time. All right, but that brings us back to an interesting, because in our previous podcast, which is coming up for folks, we'll be hearing this next week. Hoagie Gidley was with us, and we discussed movies. Political movies. You always go back to the Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, the candidate from '72 with Robert Redford, which, by the way, should be mandatory viewing for anybody who wants to run as a candidate in an election. I think it's the '72, the candidate with Fiddle.
Did you say Robert Redford?
It's Robert Redford. Yeah, I'm sorry, drew a blank there. Robert Redford is a great movie, and from Chip, from your perspective, if you've ever watched it, the consultants in that and what they tell him is just so freaking spot on. I mean,
yeah, I bet.
Oh yeah, have you ever watched it, Chip?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, you've got to. You've got to. I mean, my God, I'll send you a copy. I mean, you got to.
Okay.
Because it ends. I'm going to give away the ending, but it's been out there so many times in life. Robert Redford, they win the race. I mean, I'm not. You need to watch the whole thing. But anyway, at the end, and he's running off, and he looks at it, and he grabs his campaign guy, who was the one who actually got him in the race, and he says, "What do we do now?" He's like, "They win the race. What do we do now?" It's classic, but you need to go see. Everybody out there, look, that should be a New Year's resolution for everybody who watches the Doug Collins podcast, a fan of Friday's Finest. Go find the candidate. Look it up on your Roku. Look it up wherever you can. The candidate with Robert Redford is from '72. Then send me a note, however you want to. If I will tell you right now, everything about that movie is exactly the same as it is today, except the technology is better. I'm going to tell you.
There was no digital strategy in 1970.
No digital strategy. Other than that, hey, it's all there. And if you're looking to run for office, you need to watch the movie. Anyway, so from a Christmas perspective, though, you said the Santa Claus. Are you talking about the Tim?
The Tim Allen version. Listen, we can excuse all the other ones. I'm not counting the other ones. You don't have to watch the other ones. Not the stupid show. I don't care about any of that. It's that one in particular. It is my childhood favorite, besides probably a Sesame Street Christmas Eve, which is an all-timer as well. Okay, but yeah, those two are my favorites. Mine. What was that?
I'm going to save mine because mine's a little bit different. What about you, Chip? Favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, A Christmas Story with Peter Billingsley.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that every year growing up, right? I mean, you get the BB gun to shoot your eye out. It's awesome.
Red Ryder. There you go. By the way, if you didn't have one of those BB guns, you wasn't the thing.
That's right.
I take mine, and it's for those who probably know me. I take a little bit different tack on a Christmas movie. My favorite Christmas movie is actually one that, when I was a little smaller, scared me to death in a way. There was a parts of it, but I am a Christmas Carol with George C. Scott.
Oh, great movie.
The one from the early '80s. George C. Scott is Ebenezer Scrooge. We watch that every year. I cry every year. But it's also one of those things that's just a reminder, for so many things for me is just looking at, old England at that point. I mean, thinking back in time to something that didn't exist today. But anyway, A Christmas Carol for me. Also, it's a Christmas movie as well, but it's off there at the top is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one will get you going. And also just Jimmy Stewart's voice is just so absurd. And I love it.
Yeah. What else are we missing? There's got to be TV show.
No, there's plenty. I mean, my generation, Elf is everyone's favorite Christmas movie.
Oh, Elf. You got to have Elf.
Technically, if you're a Harry Potter fan, every one of those movies is technically a Christmas movie somehow. But they're all good.
I'm giving you the dog look.
Home Alone is an all-timer for me. I mean, just watch the fact that they got Joe Pesci, who's played pretty much gangsters and everything, to play a bandit who was not allowed to curse. So he said, I have to make up my own language. And that's where you get when he slips and goes, that's literally what he had to do instead of saying the F word 40 times. And I love that so much.
Okay, here's your trivia. Who very famous singer was associated with Joe Pesci when they were both in their late teens, early 20s?
Oh, I know this one. You don't even have to. I'm
Jersey to the guy. Core. You should know this one. Chip, you know it?
Come on, Chip.
I don't know.
Very famous.
Frankie Valley.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
If you watch Jersey Boys, I mean, it comes out. But it's so interesting to me how they portray Pesci and Jersey Boys. Because Pesci's by far now probably the more well known of the two. If in many ways,
probably, yeah.
But now, I mean, he's portrayed as this like hanger on, or it's pretty wild. But yeah, Pesci was known for that. You get look. I think there's been a couple recently that I actually like. That again, all of these have an element of hokey to them. But the Kurt Russell, the Santa Chronicles.
That was not a bad movie. I was surprised. I'm going to be honest. When I saw it was a Netflix movie, I was like, this is going to be terrible. But it really wasn't that bad. I had a good time.
And they did a second one, too. It was pretty good. The second one was a little bit different, but the first one was pretty good. Again, it's one of those that'll make you tear up kind of things as we go forward.
Doug, sorry, you mentioned something earlier in the opening, and I have to ask.
What?
You were talking about a white alligator?
Yes.
An albino alligator. Is that right?
Yes. It was,
Can you tell me where it was born?
I will be happy to.
Because I have an albino alligator story, and it might be from the same place in Florida, and I think you guys might like this one.
Okay. Chip, just real quickly here to interject here on Friday's Finest. Does it somehow surprise you that James has a white alligator story? I mean, his family probably is the same ones that came to Jersey, to Florida, and actually stopped at the alligator farm, okay?
We did. Me and my brother went to the alligator farm. This is one
more about the white alligator.
Speaking of that, where's your brother? Did he come home too?
He'll be back. He'll be here the 21st. It's a really nice break. We don't have to see each other. All
right,
he's coming here only. He was just here like a couple months ago, so he's only coming for the week. I'm here for like 3 weeks.
All right, Gatorland, Orlando.
Yes, that's it. That's the place. It was in Orlando. Oh my God, Doug. Let me tell you something. All right, so it was just born there?
Yeah. It's 19.
Okay, that's probably from the same white gator that I got to see, who was probably the size of a house. Let me explain. This is just real quick. A little quick story. So we're Gatorland, and me and my brother are pumped because you get to feed them. It's hilarious. There was apparently a new employee there. And we are here with her first day going into the actual cage. And she is in full panic. Because this is her first time dealing with an absolute dinosaur. She gets in there and she slips.
Oh, no.
Chip, I have never seen more fear in a human being's eyes in my entire life.
I'll bet.
Yes. Oh, that's so cute. I mean, it's terrifying because it's going to grow up to eat people, but so this girl goes in, and the guy is trying to explain to her, this is how you do it, this is how you walk around the cage, blah, 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 blah. She slips and falls. This thing turns so quickly. I know there were multiple people in there, and she wasn't going to get hurt, but my first thought was, am I going to see a live feeding of an alligator, and it's going to be a person? Is that going to be my first encounter in Florida? Is a gator eating a person? Could that be more Florida? Luckily, they jumped in front of him. They pushed him away. She got up. That was I've never seen anything like it. All I was thinking was, why would you have signed up for that job?
Yeah.
How hard are things for you right now that your only option is walking inside a tank with a prehistoric dinosaur?
Chip,
she must have been 20, maybe.
Yeah. Chip, I'm gonna have to actually. This is sort of painful to do a little bit, but I'm gonna have to back James up probably on his story here because it does say that this alligator came forth from a group of leucistic alligators that were originally found. One of only 7 known. Three of the seven are at the park. The park has asked the public help to name the alligator, which is descended from a nest of leucistic alligators discovered in the swamps of Louisiana in 1987. The blue-eyed newborn was the first solid white alligator ever recorded to have descended from those original alligators. My God, James, I
got something for everything, baby.
I mean, Tommy. I mean, we're going to just start calling him James Cutlets. I mean, come on, baby. All right. Okay, one quick thing. Okay, James, and you're limited on time here. Explain to two Georgia boys what a cutlet that your mom is going to supposedly make you. How does she make them?
Oh, okay, real quick. Shallow fry, baby. You take your egg, you do the eggs, breadcrumbs. You don't technically need the eggs, but you do it anyway. But if you can just do eggs and breadcrumbs. You don't even need the flour. I promise you. It's not necessary, but you can do it. You shallow fry those babies. You make about 100 of them, and you feed whoever comes into the house that day. The house smells delicious. You eat until you're completely full, and then you eat some more because that's how Italians do it. That is the perfect shallow fry, Tommy DeVito chicken cutlet that you're going to get from your mom if she's Italian.
Chip, I'm speechless.
Listen, you guys come down here, I'll rack them up for you. You know, I'll come down to Georgia and I'll make you guys actual chicken cutlets.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, not bad. We got chicken down here, that's for sure. Now, you're also probably one that likes an egg cream as well, though.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Doug, I like anything. There's no food off limits, baby.
I mean, okay, look, I have to admit, and this will ending here today. I have to admit that a few weeks ago I saw something. They said, let's do an egg cream. So I got my milk, I got my chocolate syrup, and I got my seltzer. I made it together. I don't need to. I've satisfied my taste that I don't have to do that again. I'll take seltzer and other stuff all day long, but I'm not putting it in milk and chocolate again.
It's not necessary, but when they do it here, they do it in front of you. And some guy who's been working there since 1908 is just like, my grandfather made this. And you're like, all right, how much sugar's in it? And they're like, you're probably going to get diabetes. You drink it and you move on.
Oh, that's encouraging. So
yeah, for sure.
Anyway, folks, we want, as part of the Friday's Finest crew, this has become one of the most beloved traditions in all of podcasting. Is the Friday's Finest show here on the Doug Collins Show. And on our behalf, I want to say thank you as we're coming for our Friday's Finest. We will be having one more. We got one more Friday's Finest for this year. It will be right before New Year's. If we can get everybody together, we're going to make our bowl predictions. We're going to see that Alabama wins another national title, much to Chip's dismay. As we go forward. But it's always a pleasure having you a part. If you get a part of the podcast, share it with people. Go to the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, be a part, because you don't want to miss this stuff on Fridays, I'm telling you. So before we go, one last round. James, I'll give you last shot since you've been to see the white alligator.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about Tommy DeVito today, but if you guys are moving up in the world, get yourself an agent like Tommy DeVito has, because that man is a hero, and he's going to make that man a lot of money.
Chip.
I love Tommy DeVito's agent. I want him to start for years because I want the cutaways every network broadcast of a Giants game. But no, Merry Christmas, everybody. We won't be doing Friday's Finest until after the holiday. So everybody have a great Christmas. Celebrate with your family. Eat a lot of stuff that you probably only eat once a year, and don't feel guilty about it.
There we go. And for me, I just have to say that at least the Tommy DeVito agent cutaways are better than the cutaways of Taylor Swift. So I'm now in trouble with my new daughter-in-law, but hey, we made it.
Yes, you are.
Merry Christmas, everybody. God bless. We'll see you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast. Take care.